What's up guys? So today we're back with the third part of our Roman colony series. So in the last episode we built kind of like a forum area or a working forum area for our port area, building on from where we built before. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start to build some of the housing next to that forum area and the port, and start to begin to finish this whole port area so we can move into the center of the city. So the first thing I wanted to do to start off this episode is I wanted to build a horaeum. So a horaeum was basically a type of public storehouse or granary, and it made sense to have a couple of these down by the port area. So these would be granaries or storehouses that would be used by people coming in and out of the ports. So it could be used by merchants, but I'm thinking these could be just granaries that are used by people in the port area. So I decided to put those next to the basilica, but also having access to this wharf area that we're going to start to build for smaller civilian ships just out on this side of the sea once we build that in the next episode. But I've decided I'm going to put a couple of them here, just walled in, just to protect them from people on the streets. And then I decided to build the first examples of our terraced houses. Now, what I wanted to do with some of these terraced houses is I wanted to make them look a bit like what they join together in an insula, but they look pretty distinct to each other for the most part. And I wanted to use a colour palette of sandstones, diorites, maybe some different imported stone colours. So the North African cities of the Roman Empire had lots of different types of stone that were brought in from across the empire. And then an element of purple. So people on the north coast of Africa, particularly around Carthage and the Punic port areas that were former Phoenician colonies, they liked the colour purple, and it was one of their main, purple dye was one of the main trade producers of the region. So I wanted to emulate that with some purple colours, some purple banners, but then also to tie into that colourful aspect to many Roman buildings. So what would have been true about a city like this is there would have been many merchants and many seafaring people, so they would have had a decent amount of money to colour their houses like so. So what I'm doing here is I'm building on this area of the city 2-story to 3-story high insula, which would house, a small family in them, and then they would have terraces on top so they could look out to where their ships would be at sea. Now, one thing I'm doing for most of these houses, I'm doing them with a flat roof. Now, I'm not going to do this with all of the houses, and when I start to build domuses later in the series, they're not going to have flat roofs. They're going to have, slanted roofs like the forum buildings that we built in an earlier episode. But because we are on the North African coastline, it's a bit more arid. There is less of a need for slanted roofs, basically, and you benefit from the space on top of the roof that you don't need a slanted roof for. So people would oftentimes sleep upstairs outside, and they could also have like living spaces upstairs. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically taking the main 3 designs of these terraced houses, and I'm keeping the same core on the inside, so the same kind of core layout, and then I'm going to go around and I'm going to redecorate some of the outside, but also then restructure them size-wise to make them fit together in an insula together. So for example, in this insula or city block, I'm going to have a central garden space, which is going to be like a shared communal space in the middle. And then we're going to have some of these houses on the corners, which have different shops in them. But for the most part, most of them are going to be just simply residential houses. I'm going to do the same over here. And what I'm trying to do here with the city is I'm trying to have a hierarchy of major and minor routes. So you would have typically had in a Roman city in your grid layout, which we'll focus on in a later video, you would have had your major routes that run through the forum, and then you would have your minor routes which come out into different houses. Now this one, I've got this major route that comes out of the city here, so this is like a 9-block wide road that is leaving the city from that forum area. Now it's not like the main north to south and east to west roads that would have gone through the forum, which we're going to explore in a later video, but it's a main entrance to that forum, so people who come from other cities could come and trade there, but also it's just like a main access to the city. So here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to embellish this boulevard that comes into the forum with different types of houses, but then also going up this hill towards the mountains over there. But again, sticking with this like red, purple, blue, white and sandstone colour scheme that we're using. And now just to start the tour from the forum that we built in the last video. So just a quick video for you guys today. We're going to expand further out into the port in a later video, just along where we started today. But as you see, we've got our shops here from the previous video, and you can start to see now there is this like logic from the forum out towards then this more residential district that sits right next door. So these are the type of people that would have worked in the port, but also would have worked in the forum area. So the first thing we've got over here is you've got the Horaeum. So this is where the main warehouses are going to be, and the trade houses. So this one, for example, is a granary. So I've got some hay in here, which could be like the main strategic storage of hay for cattle. And we can use these for multiple different things. That might be like grain, that might be for something else. This bit over here, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this. I think I might turn this into a military camp later on, but we'll see, because the needs might change as we start to build the wharf in a later video. You can see there's access on that side, which we could access in theory. Now I've tried to mix it up with some of these. So like here we've got a small portico or small colonnade that goes along. And we've got these nice large doors that open up into most of these houses. Now I've tried to keep the interior quite simple. At this stage, I'm not thinking that these houses are going to be like, you know, the houses of the wealthiest residents in the city, simply just like, you know, minor merchants or people that are sailors, people that work in the forum. But in any way, it's still a prosperous city, so, you know, these houses would have had a decent amount of resources. So as you can see, we've got a mix of different purples, we've got diorite, we've got quartz, and we've got bricks and different red colour palettes that are going on here. So I guess this is like the kind of theme that I'm going for with this port area. And I think that is something that will expand later into the more northern reaches of the city. And then we've got some nice shared little gardens. Now, I might adapt these later in the future, but you kind of get the idea. Now, as you come up to our main avenue into the forum, you can see it's quite a wide avenue. So you've got a nice access to, you know, whatever is going to go up the coastline over here. So it could be like a caravanserai further up there that comes before the city. And you got to think this is maybe like the entrance into the more urban areas of the city. So I guess out from here, we're going to build some less urban insulas out towards that side of the city, with then the more like larger 3 to 4 story insula being in the center. As you can see, we've got a mix of different stone types for the main doorways. So like a reference to maybe the idea that some stone is being imported to build this city, with then some little shops in them here and there. So maybe these are like the less prestigious shops that come off from the forum. So up here we've got another one, we've got like a little house there. And then we've got another like dye shop, I'm thinking over here. So maybe this is like a space which has lower rents. But as you can see, they're coming together, these nice city blocks. The idea is that we're going to try and continue these further into the city when we go towards the main center of the city around the forum, but that'll be much, much taller. And then this area over here will expand that into a different type of port, with then some farming areas and maybe some villas for more noble people. But yeah, I think in a later video we're going to move into the city, but we're going to finish off this area for the next episode. So there you have it, guys. Quick video today. Really hope you guys have enjoyed. I really appreciate some of the ideas you guys have given in the comments in the previous video. I'm going to start to use some of those ideas in later episodes. But until next time, guys, make sure to like and subscribe, and see ya.